that's it.
That's good. You mentioned that you were a huge New Edition fan.
Indeed.
Not bigger than me, however. Who are some of your other favorites?
Going back and forth with that.
as long as we've known each other.
Yes, indeed.
Who are some of your other favorite artists?
What genre?
Doesn't matter.
My favorite singer, two of my favorite male singers who I call my fathers are Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson.
Okay.
That they are the guys that I pretty much got that I've looked at, patterned my ability after, if you would. Michael Jackson, when I saw him perform on Motown 25, was groundbreaking for me as a kid. It made me want to do what I'm doing today, and so those are the guys. I mean, now just to talk about people.
What about the '90s genre?
'90s, so many. I'm just like a
it's a lot.
I'm a music junkie, so I mean, in the '90s, you got everybody from Mint Condition, Boyz II Men, Guy, Tony, all of those boy bands, kind of R&B groups or whatever. And then you got the SWVs,
so great back then.
And you got the Cut Closes, which don't get a lot of people forgot about Cut Close.
I remember.
You remember that?
Cut Close.
So it's so much music out there. But I'm a fan of good music. That's I think.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of that today.
Not at all.
But,
not at all.
We would, when we were at a different station, I would have to temper my mouth because our live stream always ran.
Okay.
And so we'd walk into whatever was playing while we were setting up, and I'd be like,
right,
with the cry face,
what the,
just, what is this?
I tell my kids, they listen to it. I get it. I don't want to sound like my parents. And I'm like, our parents, if they listen to what their grandchildren are listening to, they would be like, ooh, you wasn't that bad.
Right.
But I be telling them, don't go anywhere in public reciting that out loud because somebody going to think you have lost your absolute.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're okay. So did you watch the New Edition biopic?
I did.
Thoughts?
I did. My thoughts were, well, I have like a background in production too, so I kind of do this. Like I said, we have our own show. I have my own talk show as well, and so I loved the fact that we've been waiting for years, for this to happen.
In EFO life,
and the fact that it finally has materialized. I love that. I loved knowing and seeing. I mean, we know, any fans knew their story. Certain things we learned for the first time.
And there's only two things I didn't know.
Well, it's a couple, really big stuff. So overall, I love that it was done. I love seeing it on screen. I was not in love with the production value.
Really?
No.
Why?
It just, first of all, it's too many commercials.
Well, okay.
And the way that they...
We probably should have donated more money to the movie. I'm kidding.
No, what they should have did is not tank that Home Again tour so people would be scared to deal with them. That's what they should have did. So they could have got all the movie from the big studio because they should have had a major motion picture, period.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that's just true. That. If NWA got a movie, they should have had a movie.
Agreed.
That's true.
Bottom line.
I didn't think about that.
So, I mean, and they actually had a couple scripts and they had sat down with a couple film studios. It didn't happen for a couple reasons or whatever, but the production value just, it was on BET. So I guess it's like, it's the best thing BET ever did. I can say that. I mean, it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
It's a matter of fact tone. Like, it
might be their come up.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people saying Lifetime needs to let go of the biopics and let BET do it.
Yeah.
So it was.
Yeah. So it was great seeing that. I really loved seeing it on screen. I loved the performances, some more than others.
The talent was great.
Yeah, but the talent was good, and I don't want to say. Well, we said this on our show because we covered this on our show Wednesday night. We talked about the movie. A lot of people. I'll just say this: a lot of people are saying, and Tasha, don't turn red. A lot of people are saying
Taking my earrings off. Go ahead.
That the vocalists in this movie were actually better than the New Edition vocalists.
Okay, now I will agree. I will agree. That my boys are the bomb, but they are not singers except for Gil, who I am pretend married to.
So I mean, it was good. I really did enjoy a lot about it. Now, let me ask you a question. What was you guys' favorite part in those 3 parts? What was your favorite part?
I think. So I love the whole thing, clearly, as I declared it New Edition week at work in the middle of my staff meeting. You know what song I've been playing ever since? Holding On by LTD.
Wow.
That whole montage of them rehearsing and getting it together before they got to deal with Maurice. Yeah. That was my favorite part. And so I've been playing Holding On. Which confuses my mother. Like, what you doing?
We actually opened the show with that.
Really? So that whole montage, I think maybe the part where they did the little choo-choo train step, and Brooke was kind of sweating in the back doing it with them, and they didn't win the competition, and the audience was like, we call BS. Right. And they started chanting for them. You know, that was it. I think another poignant piece was at the top of the movie when Bob asked Mike and Rick to be a part of the group, and Rick said, okay, as long as we can all sing. And they shook on it, but Bob had his fingers crossed behind his back. That was funny. Right. Like, I screamed laughing. So I think... Which he had to tell them. Yeah. Those other guys... They wouldn't have known that. So he had to tell them that. I love Bob. That's like, my finger. Yeah. Right.
I can't say it was a specific part, but I think I said this last week. I appreciated, for years, I wondered, they put up with so much with Bobby. But after watching the movie, I saw why, and I understood why, and it was a remarkable story of loyalty to me. Good. And that's something that's major to me that is missing from a lot of friendships, is that loyalty piece. Because look at all the different groups that have broken up throughout the years. Look at and he'll go away, and then you'll be like, hey, New Edition coming to town. Is Bobby with him? Bobby with him. Well, you bigger than me, so I'm probably not going to fight you. Bobby with him. But I'm like, but I get it. I get it. A lot of people probably wouldn't have put up with as much. No. But I wouldn't have. That scene when Mike beat them, that's he was gonna kill him. I know he was trying to kill me, but did he? Right. Even Bob was forgiven. Sometimes you need that friend in your life, and maybe, hey, that's been the glue that's been keeping him together to keep, keep going and turn some things around, amongst other things. But
I think what I didn't know, I'm sorry, there are 3 things. What I did know was that Bob was the reason they all came together. Right. And so on the bus, when Gary, I hate Gary. When Gary, I was screaming and cussing at the TV, shut up, Gary, shut up. Because I think they would have never voted him out if they had not been pressured. Anyway. Right.
But they probably would have lost.
They definitely would have. So, okay, I guess I like Gary a little bit. But I don't like him. Wishy-washy Tasha today.
He was cancerous, man. It's just the truth.
And I know, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. Look back at your friend group. There's somebody who ain't maybe as extreme as Bob, but there's we all have one.
It's always one.
We always have one.
Always one.
You know. So yeah, absolutely. And even he said when they got to Ron's wedding, man, I knew that when I pushed you too far, okay, I had gone too far. But if the representation of the way Bobby was raised was accurate. Yeah. You understand then why he was just used to doing what he wanted to do. He always had been allowed to. How many of you could have been doing drugs in your mama's house? She come in the room and tell you that Gerald Busby is downstairs. And without her having don't know. You know what I'm saying? So if that's accurate, it also explains why the freedoms Bobby Christina had were there. That's what he was used to. Mm-hmm. Like, hey,
they didn't have those.
It also all of that for me, though, definitely highlighted the absence of the father.
All of them.
That's true.
All of them.
I as a man, I looked at that, and to be totally honest with you, I think the hero of the story is Brooke Payne.
Absolutely. Brooke is the nicest guy. I'll have mine. So I took over Super Bowl pregame activities and made my dad and cousins watch episode 1 on demand.
Whoa.
Tasha.
What? The game wasn't on.
I don't know what daddy was like.
No, they were actually like, oh. You know, they were like, well, which one is that?
Right.
Well, which one is Bobby Brown? Who is married to Whitney? I was like, well, they're not married no more, particularly now. But
I didn't even
they had divorced. So, but what it was I don't know. I done lost my thought. This is where I am today. I took it over and I just kind of had them watching it. But the conversation was with Brooke. That's where we were. Mm-hmm. When he got up and he said, not Carol, but you're not going to take Ryan out of the group. Everybody turned and was like, man, that's classy. And I reflected on the 2 times I've met Mr. Payne, who is my Facebook friend. Each time he was just incredibly classy. He was shaking our hands at one event. And he said, which was funny to me, it's very simple, but it's old school. He was crossing to go down the line, and every time he crossed somebody, he said, excuse my left. Like, he understood. That simple thing to me was amazing. And then the next time I met him was in 2012 at the Soul Train Awards. I was done with my duties. And my girlfriend said, come on, let's go upstairs. I was like, I'm not assigned to New Edition. She was like, so? And so I went upstairs.
They had to pull your arm to go upstairs.
Well, I didn't want to be fired on my first Soul Train gig. So I was like,
been fired today.
Right. No, I didn't want to be fired. I wanted to be invited back. Right. But what happened was their timing was going to be late. And so my artist had been discharged. He was done. And we went upstairs with that pretense, which was, we did need to inform them, but it wasn't necessarily our job. So he said, okay. And I said, and so my girlfriend said, well, we're going to go in and say hello to the fellas. And he said, that's fine, but y'all not going to tell them that they running late, are you? And watching the movie now, I understood why he needed to keep them corralled. Like,
because they're
don't say nothing. Okay. About hitting the show a little later. That's going to be a problem. So, yeah. But he's been incredibly gracious. All of them have. So, I've had, the pleasant opportunity to meet all of them. Nobody's been crazy. Even that night, Bob, I walked in. I didn't see him behind me, and I turned around and hit him. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, my God, I'm suing you. And I was like, well, I'm a teacher, so it ain't going to be no money. He was like, okay. I won't sue you. That was the end of it. All very gracious. I think they just had a lot of growing up to do.
Yeah. Growing pains. Yeah. Boys to men.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I said, I think Brooke being there, I mean, he was beyond the glue. I mean,
he's the reason.
He was a man, he was the only man that we saw
constant
that was consistent with them all. And like you said, when we're on the road, I drive them home at night and make sure that they're here so that they go to school. I'm picking them up. I'm taking them to rehearse. I'm taking them here. I'm taking them there. When they fight, I'm breaking them up. I'm disciplining them.
even if it took a while in that first scene.
Like and just he's tremendous. The fact that he saw in them as little guys, he saw the potential, in them and believed in them enough to invest like he did.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean? He saw it. He knew
what little he had.
Yeah.
Yeah. He poured it all into them.
And he really invested in those guys, and we're all so glad that he did.
Yes. Yes. Shout out to Brooke Payne.
Man, he's the hero in the story. He didn't get his due, and they fired him and all of that. Now he was a terrible manager.
Well, I mean, he know.
Yeah, he was a terrible.
He was doing the best he could.
Exactly.
The cards he was dealt.
I'm glad he found out what his position was with the group. Mm-hmm. He's not a manager; he's a choreographer.
Yeah,
that's what
I think he's back to managing them, isn't he?
Well,
it's probably just
now,
a little,
a term. They ain't had a record deal
Go look, close his mouth.
So it ain't
yeah, got a great new album in the mail today. Remember that?
So it's kind of like it ain't a whole lot for him to manage, you know.
Touche. They've